Hi, I'm Nicole Dupas. I'm the singer of Strange Breed from Vancouver, BC, and you're listening to Bucketlist Music Reviews.
What are you doing to keep from going crazy while you're in isolation?
Oh, to be honest, I'm not. I've gone crazy. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I already kind of worked from home. So it wasn't like a big shift for me in terms of work or anything like that. Like I'm still working pretty much full time. Like my hours have definitely been cut, but it's not like it's I'm one of the lucky ones for sure. Um but aside from that, like when I'm not working and just kind of like zoning out a little bit, like I wish I could say that I was nonstop writing and nonstop, like creating, but I think it's really hard right now for a lot of artistic people to feel like honestly inspired. Because it's just it's kind of bleak out there right now. um and one of the things I've talked about quite a bit on our Instagram and stuff is just sort of that pressure for creative types to just like be so productive right now, and I'm just kind of not feeling it. So it's just one of those things where it's like we're still going as strong as we can. We're still creating content as much as we can, but it's like it's hard right now for sure.
And did you have any major plans that were disrupted by this whole pandemic?
Yes, we were planning a tour. We were planning a North American tour. So basically, we were luckily we hadn't actually paid for our visas yet or anything like that. So it could have been much worse. Um, but it still was a pain in the butt because we were really looking forward to it, and we were starting to get some things going, and just like it's been on our radar for months, right? So it's like okay. So yeah, so unfortunately, that has kind of been the case for us. But again, I think we're some of the lucky ones where, like you say, we didn't pay for our visas yet. We didn't have all of the shows booked yet. We didn't like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. We had a few months before we were going to be leaving, anyways. So, so yeah, it could have been worse for us for sure. Yeah, the big thing is that we were going to be releasing our music video this week, which we're still doing. So that's nice is that we can still do that. That was obviously not affected. If anything, it actually inspired us to be like, hey, let's do like an online viewing party. And it'll be like a fun way to kind of have a sort of community online event, and we can all engage while it's playing, and it'll be fun. So that's not something we would have done otherwise in a way. So that's kind of a bright side, I guess.
Where were you planning on touring?
Well, yeah, we were basically going to go down the West Coast, like down to LA, and then we were going to kind of flip around, go back across Canada out to Toronto. We were going to do the East Coast of the States as well, and like New York and everything, and kind of everywhere in between. So it was going to be about 2 months, and it was going to be a lot of stops. And yeah, so there was still quite a bit of planning that was in the works anyways. So we're kind of lucky that not everything was set in stone yet anyways. So it's kind of like, okay, we can come back to this, and we will make it happen. But yeah, but it's pretty heartbreaking nonetheless, because it was such a work in progress and something we were so excited about and working really hard on. And yeah, and now it's like not happening. But I mean, we know people that were on tour, right? And then their tours like were getting canceled right in the middle of it, and they were having to make their way home really fast and stuff like that. So like we're just kind of counting our lucky stars that we weren't on tour yet, or anything like that. So I just keep telling myself it could have been worse. It could have been worse for sure.
And I see that you've been doing a few couch sessions to pass the time.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, it's hard. Obviously, again, it's one of those things like as a four-piece band, we still have it decently because the drummer Megan and I live together, and then our other guitar player Tara and the bass player Jess, they live together. So we it's one of those things where when we want to connect, it's not too bad. It's like just sort of one location and one location, and everybody can kind of communicate easier that way. Um, but it's still like we can't do like a four-piece thing, which sucks because our music is best loud. It's not that it can't be played acoustically, but it's just kind of like, okay, maybe not as exciting. Um, so I mean, Megan, she's a great drummer. She's also a great guitar player. So her and I did a live session where she kind of helped like come up with these really cool sort of folky guitar parts behind my parts, and then we did a couple of songs, and they turned out really well. I was happy with them. So it was definitely a fun challenge, if anything, and kind of cool, I think, for our audience too, in a way, to see like Megan not behind a drum kit and playing something different, and hearing our songs a little differently. So it was definitely fun, and I think that we'd like to do it again. But my opinion on the live streaming is that it's very oversaturated right now. I think there was just a huge like just this like surge of people just being like, I'm gonna live stream everything all the time, and we're doing our Monday music couch thing, and so are a million other people, so we're kind of like, you know what, it works really well for singer songwriters and people that are constantly working on like cover songs and stuff like that. For us, it's not the best model, I think, for this current climate and however the industry is going. So we did it once, we'll probably do it again. We might film some stuff and put it on YouTube once in a while or whatever, but yeah, I think we're just gonna kind of steer clear of that for the most part, just because I think it's like, people, it's just like shows in Vancouver. When there was shows, it's like always so many shows going on that it's hard enough to get people to come see you, So it's like kind of that way online right now, I feel like.
And I do agree with you. I do prefer my music a lot louder. I prefer distortion and drums, so I'm really missing out on that right now.
Same. And it's just kind of like we don't want to provide something that's like shitty. So, it's like even if we could all be in our jam space doing it, it would sound like garbage. So we're just kind of like, if we had the right I guess know-how and the right gear to do a really, really professional live stream, we would try our best to do that and do it regularly, but we don't. So we're kind of like, well, we want to do quality over quantity. So if we can come up with some cool acoustic versions, then we'll do that once in a while. But there's no point in us just doing it for the sake of doing it, when there's so many other people doing it too. So that's kind of our stance on that. It's fun and it's a fun challenge, but it's just bizarre. It's such a strange industry right now.
So let's just put all this pandemic talk to the side right now. I'm very interested to know, what's it like to be in a band with your partner? Are you able to separate time for music stuff and couple stuff?
Yeah, I think we do a pretty good job actually. It's one of those things, like she will always say that I was really reluctant to bring her into the band. Like when she's telling people the story, it's like, oh, you came home and you were huffing around and slamming cupboards, and then you said Tara wants you in the band, and I'm like, no, I did want you in the band as well. I was just, you hear the horror stories, right? Where I was like, this is a relationship that we had already been together for about a year and a half. I cared about it very deeply. I also saw potential in this project, and I cared about it very deeply separately, So I was like, I don't want either of these things to get messed up. That's all it comes down to. But now we are almost 3 years into the band, and her and I are still together. We've never stopped being together. I think we just have a really good, I mean, we're the oldest ones in the band too, so we're a little bit more at that point where we just kind of have this kind of unspoken way of just, we're in the jam space or we're on tour and we can make a bit of space and be like, okay, we're not doing anything band related, let's go out for dinner and this is about us and we're not going to talk about band stuff. We're really comfortable at just communicating like, you know what, I just need you to be my partner and I just need to watch this movie with you and not think about this stuff. But then there's times where it's like, no, we really need to talk about XYZ that's on the to-do list. And we just kind of get in that mindset of like business and we're talking about business. And it's just like, yeah, so I think we've gotten pretty good at it. There are times where we're kind of band mom and dad though. And like on the road last year, we definitely were. And so it's funny, but and there are moments where it maybe bleeds in. And then we're just like, okay, like that can't happen for everyone's sanity. So yeah, it's, if I was to sum it up, it's weird, but it's also awesome because we get to experience all of our goals and milestones together that not every couple does in the same way, right? So it's two extremes.
Do you and Megan have similar tastes in music, or is there sometimes a clash?
Um, no, I would say we have pretty similar tastes. She's a little bit more like, I don't really know. She's very like, when she writes her own songs, she's very folky, which people wouldn't expect. When it comes to the drums, she's like her favorite drummer is Danny Carey from Tool. She's very technical. And I think that if we had any other drummer, our music could be completely different and just kind of some of the songs would be more boring. They wouldn't be as interesting. Like I think that love of the technicalities and the theory and stuff comes through, but still in such an accessible way. So it's really cool. And so to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm so happy that we can make it work and that she's in the band because it adds this whole new level that I didn't even imagine. But yeah, but our tastes are pretty similar most of the time. Like when we're on a road trip, there's very few artists that I will put on that she's like, ugh, or like vice versa, you know? Like, oh yeah, we have a lot of the same favorite bands. We go to all the concerts, or we did go to all the concerts together. Sleater Kinney, Courtney Barnett, Feist, you know, just like anything, all different genres, pretty similar.
And for the rest of the band, I read that you met them through Craigslist. Was it one of those circumstances where, had you just met in person, would it have been like an automatic friendship, or did you have to build that relationship?
Yeah, well, I met Tara on Craigslist, yeah, and she was, yeah, she was kind of an instant buddy. Like it was great. Like I think it could have gone really badly. She was just like this like awkward like young baby lesbian from Langley, like who like just moved to the city, you know, and kind of thing. No, she was still living in Langley actually. She had like a brand new pit bull puppy that she had like no idea what to do with and no money to care for, but she had one anyways. I was like, oh my God, like, you know, but we managed to become good friends pretty fast. She helped me finish a song that I had been sitting on for like 2 or 3 years, and she helped me finish it, I think like our second time we ever got together. And so for me that was a big thing where I'm like, this person is comfortable enough already with me to just say, hey, what if we try this? Like what if you put these lyrics and stuff, and lyrics are so personal. So I feel like with people that you have no history with or whatever, sometimes it's like it feels invasive to be like, try this, you know, like even for me, I probably would have never done that. So but I thought it was cool that she did, and we just kind of hit it off, and it was like, sweet. And we had a different bass player before named Allie, who we had met. That was organic. That was, we met her at a coffee shop that she was working at the time. So she wasn't on Craigslist, and our new bass player Jess, is actually one of Tara's oldest friends. Yeah, so we already knew her, not like not as well as we do now, but we knew her and had hung out with her, and we knew that she was a bass player, but just more of a hobby bass player. Like, she had never been in a band or anything like that, but she was good and she had good equipment and was like ready to go. Um, so yeah, so that worked out really well. Yeah, so Tara was really the only one that I met on Craigslist, and I always say, yeah, could have gone super bad, but it worked out.
So your album Permanence came out last year. I really liked it. The songs are catchy. I like how political it is, how sex positive it is, and the production on it is great. There's one
Thank
song
you.
though that caught me off guard. It was Dead Girl. Could you
Oh,
explain the thought process that went into writing that song?
sure. I actually wrote it about this. So there's this person, I'm not gonna say who, but there was someone in Vancouver that runs a YouTube channel, and she's very right wing, very rude and awful and privileged, and just doesn't understand the experiences of anyone that aren't like her. And she has a huge following, and it really worried me because, I think around that time, like, I knew, I was like, Canada isn't that much different from the states as much as we like to think that it is. That's kind of an ignorant way of thinking a lot of the time, because we have a lot of racism and a lot of prejudices about a lot of different groups of people here, and she was just kind of the epitome of that, and it made me so upset. I was just like, look at all these people that agree and are like supporting this, and how can this woman be putting down other women for like wanting choice and wanting, and it was just really shocking to me. So I was just really fired up basically about that, and then wrote the song. And sort of the key line of the chorus is, "You don't think that we exist," and that was sort of the summation of how I felt from discovering that YouTube channel, discovering, or just kind of feeling those things about it, like, you don't think that people that haven't lived your life exist, essentially. Like, people are telling you this is my experience in the world, and you're saying, no it's not, no it's not, because I haven't experienced that, kind of thing. Like, that can't possibly be true. um and that just really pissed me off, so that's one of our angriest songs on the album, and you can tell. That, I think, in the studio too, that was like a, what me and my producer, we called like a six taker vocal wise, because I was just so like angry that day too, so it was a perfect one to do, and it was just like boom 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 done, because it just like felt so good.
I admit that I don't know too much about the Vancouver scene, except for maybe a few bands who were able to come over here to Montreal, like Alien Boys or Anna. And I'm kind of kicking myself right now because I missed you guys back in October. But could you just paint a picture of what the vibe is like on the West Coast?
Like, for live shows and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hit or miss. It's kind of hard to describe. Like, things are pretty clicky out here, I think. We have had a pretty, like, honestly, we've had a hard time finding where we fit in the scene in Vancouver. Because obviously, since you've listened to the record, so it's like our sound is going in a bit of a more mainstream modern rock kind of sound. It has the influences of like 90s rock. So it's like nostalgia, but it's at the same time, it's very, like, the hope is that it could be on the radio, kind of thing. Whereas I feel like a lot of bands here are too cool for that, and they want it to be really lo-fi, and they need it to have that West Coast surf punk sound, or like, just really, it's sort of like, if you take it too seriously, you're just not really that cool, and that's kind of how it feels a lot of the time. But by any, like, that's definitely not all bands. That's just something that we've felt occasionally, but we've connected with so many lovely bands that work really hard, and they do take things really seriously, and we just want, like, we all want to see each other succeed. So there's a lot of really wonderful support out here. Getting people to come to shows sometimes has been challenging. Sometimes we'll have, I mean, our album release show was awesome and it was packed. And then there's other shows we played where it's like, okay, yep, 10 people, awesome, no problem. You know, we play to them the same way we play to 500 people. So it's all good. To us, we're just happy to play. I hope that after this whole COVID thing that there is a shift and people are a lot more appreciative of live music and live events, and when they see something of a band or an artist that they like, they actually really do make the effort to go and don't just kind of sit on the fence. Like, a lot of people just make their plans really last minute in Vancouver, and usually those plans are to stay home. But now I think everyone's getting sick of it. So yeah, it's pretty good, but you know, it can be so hit or miss.
When you were touring last year, were you able to find like your own community, like your own crowds and bands who were kind of in the same vein?
Yeah, I made an effort to really try and connect specifically with a lot of like LGBTQ organizations beforehand, and just kind of say, hey, like, what venues do you guys have you seen in the past are really popular for our community, or feel safe at, or to have events at, things like that. Sometimes we got involved with those organizations, and would kind of put the show on together. Like, there was one fundraiser show for in Kingston for Queer Film Festival and stuff like that. So we kind of got to be a part of some cool stuff that way too. So in that way, it was awesome because we did make a point of reaching out to our target demographic, which is people like us, people that share our experience in the world. And it was really cool. But there was also just like so many random people. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like older people who are, you know, maybe 20 or 30 years our senior, that are just like, man, that reminds me, that takes me back. Or there's like something about our music that like is nostalgic for even them, even when they grew up way before we did. And it's like, it's interesting. Like, our audience can be so diverse. We always try our best to reach out to like a lot of youth. So whenever we can do all ages, we try to do that. We weren't able to do too many on tour last year, but I think there was maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, and it was cool. I mean, we had a blast. We met so many awesome bands that we talk to all the time still, and we can't wait to play with again, you know. And a lot of people that responded really well, and I would say almost even better than our own scene here. So that's why we're kind of bummed we're not going on tour again until further notice, because I feel like we're received really well in certain parts of the country. And I think in the States, it's going to be pretty cool as well. I think Seattle, hopefully, and down the West Coast and everything. Hoping that since our sound was kind of born there, I'm hoping that it'll be received well.
One thing I'm noticing here is that there's a lot of smaller venues that are closing down because of high rent and gentrification. I imagine the same thing is happening over in Vancouver since the cost of living is a lot higher than it is here. Do you see that happening at all?
Yeah. Yep, it's bad. It's really bad. And especially now with this whole situation, like, I don't know how they're going to make it, to be honest. Like, it's looking bleak, because even before any of the COVID stuff, there was a couple of DIY spaces that were already saying, look, like, if we don't raise X amount, we're going to have to close our doors. So there was a lot of fundraiser shows and some GoFundMe's and stuff floating around online. And I think one of them actually managed to get some sort of like tax. They got something lucky in their court. So I think there's another venue that's good for another year, but it was not looking good for a while. And there's a few that are struggling, and especially now that they can't host live events. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty worrisome, and I think everybody's just like stressed about all of it. I feel like we were pretty lucky because we were kind of before all of this craziness, we were in a pretty good position. We were being able to have these opportunities to play some of these like huge legendary venues in Vancouver. And to be honest, I guess we were kind of in a bubble because we were so consumed with that we didn't even necessarily think about the impact on some of these smaller venues that we played earlier on as a band. And it's just kind of like, yeah, like regardless of if we're playing them or not, they need to be open because there's so many bands just starting that need a place to have a chance. And these places are providing community and safe spaces and places for all kinds of artists to play no matter what. And that's so important, and especially in Vancouver. But yeah, I guess only time will tell at this point.
So let's look to the future. Usually we ask everybody we interview what's on their bucket list, but I'm just going to rephrase that question a bit. What do you want to do once this lockdown lifts?
Um, well, yeah, so many things. I just like on a personal level, I just miss the things I took for granted. Like I say, I already pretty much work from home, so there wasn't like a huge shift, but at the same time, just like being able to run out to the store for one or two things and not think anything of it, and meet your friends for drinks and go work in a coffee shop for a while, or like just the little things, or like pet dogs when I'm out for a walk, just like pet dogs. um like very basic things I look forward to. And I know the rest of the band is in the same boat. On the band front, we're looking forward to just getting back to booking our tour, which we are working with a booking agency. So their first priority will be shifting tours that were meant to be happening right now. And then eventually we'll get back to working on ours. So, I mean, right now, I guess we would assume that it'll be happening in the fall again this year, but it's hard to say. Um, and then aside from that, we were also going to start recording um, some new stuff. I mean, like we were going to record a demo a couple of weeks ago to apply for some funding. Could not go to the studio to do that. So basically, we're just looking forward to getting into the studio to put something new out there in the next couple months. But it all depends on if we can do that. So it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm trying to be as hopeful and positive as possible. I'm just like, I hope that our bands all get to see the light of day again and hit the road and do all those things we want to do in the same way that we planned. Like I think the industry will have some sort of shift regardless. So I guess, yeah, it just kind of depends on what that looks like. But regardless, I'd like to think that we will be going on tour, and we'll be going into the studio and putting out something new. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
But you still have a few things to promote right now. I mean, you have that music video coming out on Friday for the song 25. So I guess how can people tune into that?
We have an event page on Facebook where I'm going to be posting the link soon. We're basically going to be doing like a YouTube premiere event. So basically that way it'll go live, and then everyone can kind of chat at the same time as it's going live, so we can kind of have a bit of engagement about the video, and just sort of pretend like we're all doing it in the same room. But right now it's just a Facebook event, which I can send you the link for. And if people RSVP there, then I'm going to be putting the link and everything that they need there, basically to access it on Friday. Yeah, we're very excited to release this video. It was quite a labor of love. And we got really, really lucky because literally we filmed it the week before all the provinces started going into social distancing mode. So if we had to push it any further out, it wouldn't have happened. like timing wise, we got so lucky, and now it's like we actually have some quality content to share with people. So yeah, so if you are not busy on Friday night, tune in and check out the video.
Great. And I saw that you still
Yeah.
have some merch online as well. I was specifically looking at those boy shorts that I might want to get for myself.
Oh, well, unfortunately, we're sold out of those. I know. It was funny because we actually had the hardest time selling them for so long. And then on tour, they did really well and we sold out of them. And ever since we haven't had any, people want them. They're like, you should get underwear. We're like, listen, we had underwear and you didn't buy it when we had it. So what do you want from us? But yes, we do have some merch. I always remind people that one album sale helps us more than like thousands of streams does. So if anyone, I know everyone's really hurting for cash, so even the streams are really helpful right now. YouTube views or sharing our content online, but if people like our music, it's really helpful buying the albums digitally or physically. We also have it on we have it on vinyl, CD, and cassette. So we've got all your formats covered, and we've got a few T-shirts. We got some tote bags, and the tote bags are very sturdy. I can attest to this. They're very good. Yeah, so lots of stuff online. That's all in our Bandcamp store.
Is there anything else you want to shout out?
Um, just for everyone to stay safe and be be okay. We're all in this together. We're all gonna get through it. And it's great that folks like you are still writing and producing content about artists and helping us kind of still get stuff out there when we can't be out doing it ourselves on tour or things like that. So shout out to you. Thank you for wanting to talk to us. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's really nice to meet you.